And we are live. Welcome to the Ubuntu Touch Q&A, UBports Foundation show discussing the development of Ubuntu Touch and our community's questions. This is episode 31, as streamed live on June 30th, 2018. My name is Florian, you might have guessed it. Dalton has to skip again this week, and he caught a little cold in the warmth of summer. That's really bad. So we wish him everything get well soon. And with me are still, of course, Marius.
Hello.
And Jan.
Hello.
So, okay. Then let's start with some news. I think the biggest news of the last 2 weeks is that our RC is out.
Wow.
So, Jan, what can you tell us about RC 1604?
Yeah, I think as we announced on the last show, we now started the release candidate process and starting to get the more normal quality assurance schedule going for the senior release. We are not quite there yet, but we had two pretty good release candidates so far. And we also made a call for testing type event. So many users went through the smoke testing QA plan, and that was very helpful. We found many smaller issues, or well, not that much actually. We found we were able to do some solid QA work there, basically, and that was very helpful. But you can, of course, still help with that. So install the 1604 Devil or RC, whatever you prefer, however adventurous you feel, and you can still help us by reporting bugs. So we are not quite there yet with OTA 4. We have still some things we need to get done, but progress is being made constantly, and it's looking pretty good so far.
Okay, so if you say that people can still help, maybe you can give us two or three sentences about how an ordinary user that is now still on 1504 and who wants to be adventurous join on this mission. That means, how is he going to switch to the RC?
What we really need to test properly is the upgrade path. So what people can do is either use the UBports installer or use the system image CLI tool on the device to switch to the 1604 Devil or 1604 RC channel and see if anything breaks. Of course, you have to be a little tech savvy to want to do that, but that is great help, because then we can see, okay, are there problems that only come when you upgrade from OTA 3 to OTA 4, because those problems can be different than on a new fresh installation without any data there. And after that, you can, of course, go back. You can use the UBports installer for that, or the system image CLI tool. The information how to do that you will find in the blog post, but we will also have this in the video description, I think.
Okay, maybe, and then there is one small more detail that I remember, that we unified the release numbers now between the devices. I think this is also worth to mention, because it will give users a much better reporting or checking experience for what is actually going on their device. That means basically before we had only an up counter that said, okay, this is the release or the build number, this and that, and the next iteration would just increase the counter. And now we have for the Devil releases for RC different unified labels that are the same on each device. Because now it could be that the N5 was on 183, and I don't know, the N4 was on 7 because the N4 started very late on the building process, something like this.
Exactly. So what we're doing now is that we're tagging every release. So every Devil release basically has the date that it's released on. I think it's 7 in the morning UTC. that it's always being published. So it's basically just the date, and if there's 2 on the same day, it's just added -1 or -2 and so on, or slash, right here. And the RCs, because they are being released weekly, they just get the week number and the year. So that makes it really easy to see when did one issue appear on one device and when on another. So that's very helpful.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to add something, Marius?
Yeah, this also goes further in the OTAs. Also, OTAs will also display the OTA number instead of the revision number as it did before. But also later on, this is an idea we want to expand on to include automatic change logs and stuff like that. That's also adding into this idea to have a unified version number at the same time.
Okay, very well. So basically, hopefully that the interested people are already flashing their phones now. Still, of course, there are some issues that we know that are reported already on GitHub. If you're going to report something, would be nice if you go on the GitHub page, which is more or less github.com/UBports in the organization. There is the Ubuntu Touch repository, and the Ubuntu Touch repository, where we only use more or less the issue tracker, has the milestones, and there you find the currently open and known and hopefully verified Xenial or 1604 bugs and issues. And please check before you report something that it doesn't exist already, maybe with a similar description, because we had a lot of duplicates in the last weeks. Of course, people are testing more, people using the release more, they will find similar or the same bugs. But please give it a small search and investigation if the bug is already there, because it saves us a lot of time if we do not have to filter duplicates out or to manage them. And yeah, so there are these 2 milestones for 1604, which is the backlog and the OTF4 itself. And I think we did quite some improvement also over the last 2 weeks. The number is still, let's say, I think there are only now below 20 or so. What is the actual counter? Quickly.
We have 10 on the backlog and 6 on OTA4.
Yeah, okay. So we're in total, we are below 20 of these issues. Of course, this is not a qualifying and a statement of how complex they are, but it's not that we have, I don't know, 50 or something like this. So yeah, we're a little bit closing in on the reduction here. So it's a good thing.
Yeah. Also, that being said, many of those are a more smaller and mostly resolved bug at this point. Because there is, for example, one that's for multiple app versions, which we fix when we move away from the deb, which we had temporarily. There's also other small one. The bigger one has been taken this week. So that number might sound high, but it's not as high as it sounds like. So we are getting really close, actually.
Good. So then I would say, let's jump. Oh,
actually, before we move on, we just noticed that, add to that channels that are on 1504 Devil and 1504 RC will soon also be moved over automatically. This is something we forgot. Of course, Devil will be due first. I don't know how many. I don't expect it to be many on 1504 Devil. But RC, there might be more. So that's why we want to hold a little bit on that before releasing. So yeah, just wanted to add that.
Yeah, that will happen, I think, sometime this or next week. I think we already said it will happen within a week last time, but there was just some things, but now we are a lot closer, so expect it to happen.
So basically, just to summarize again, it will be, even if all of the users on 1504 do nothing to their phones, they will get rerouted to the new channel as soon as we do
Devil and RC.
Yes, on Devil and RC, not on Stable, of course. But that means basically that RC testers from 1504 could immediately test also 1604 without doing something. It's just a small patch that you can do on the system image server that allows us to redirect what is the content of each channel. So basically, it's very neat that we can influence what is getting on the devices, even if you don't switch, or you don't know, or don't dare to switch. We will take this for you. Yeah?
It's basically the same thing that's going to happen when we are releasing OTA 4 this time.
Yeah. Basically, we should make people afraid now that they get automatically switched to something. So, okay, for the moment, if you're unstable, you're stable. Yeah? Yeah. Don't be afraid that we switch you to something unstable. Okay. Yeah. Anything else for the channels and update of the core?
No, I think we are pretty clear.
Yeah. Then maybe we'll lose a few words about the app compatibility, because there are a lot of questions now, and also from the issues that we had, it's clear that people are not sure what will happen to the apps after we switch to 1604. And we have to distinguish a little bit between the core apps that we got more or less in our hands, what is happening with them, and of course apps by other people. So maybe once more that we had already last 2 weeks, I think, on the Q&A. The Open Store is now fully supporting Vivid and Xenial apps in its distribution, let's say. But you have to do some steps for the developers to get this done. So still calling for developers of apps that don't know what they should do, please ping us or so, or go to the forum. There is some explanation how you get the Xenial converted app correctly into the Open Store. So the Open Store itself was also updated, of course, to support Xenial. Everything is in the images, and basically that we can be sure if we get an update now for RC and also for stable, then that we will not lock out ourselves, so that the Open Store is functional after update. These things are working now. Then we have actually the good news that most of the core apps are now in click format. Maybe you don't bother about these, but it's easier to update core apps or apps at all if they are in a click format instead of a DEP, because the DEP package we can only update via an OTA. Yeah. The click we can also put on the Open Store, and every user can update even the core app then easily. However, there are still a few apps that need to stay on DEP format, which is basically dialer and messaging, because of the interface and the higher privileges to the phono and the real daemon that does the network. The browser probably will stay for the moment, maybe forever, I don't know. System settings is also one of the privileged apps. Then we have media player still, and there's a few more. But it's already less than we had before, and it's much easier for our app maintainers if they can push an intermediate update and we don't have to wait for the next OTA. Okay, this is about the update cycle for the core apps. The DocView app. Somehow, one of the core apps we left a little bit behind. It was the DocViewer, and we got, thanks to a nice hint from the community for today, we just got aware that the DocViewer is still not compatible with 1604. And we started immediately to work on this because it's a very important app for us. Without the DocViewer, it will be very hard that you look into PDF files, which is quite a common function, of course. And I agree that this is a core utility that we need to get updated before the OTA 4 or with the OTA 4. Okay. Yeah. App compatibility. Anything else? Did I forget something?
No.
Okay, perfect. Okay, next item on the list, also very, very unique and exciting, the 1604 Cultural Showcase. What is a cultural showcase? I need a small explanation for the term also. Yeah, who wants to talk about this?
So I can take it.
Not here. Where is Wayne?
Where is Wayne? Wayne.
Let Marius be our Wayne for today. Yeah.
I will step in as an artificial Wayne.
Okay, please.
So this content is about creating the artwork and the sound work, I would say. It's about creating something new, like a new background image, a new ringtone, and also a new notification sound. So it's those three core aspects of it. And the idea behind it is to create something. Why it's called cultural is because it has to do with the culture of the images and the culture of the sounds. So it's about to create something that's more or less something, instead of using someone else, it's something that's UBports, something special for UBports, a special sound for UBports, or a special background for UBports, or for Ubuntu Touch, that is. So I think that's where it comes from. And also, since we are moving to 1604, which is a completely new base, we also want to have the more familiar terms also refreshed, and at least have an option. So that's the idea behind it. And the reason why we want to do a contest is because we wanted everyone to be a part of creating this next sound or image.
So basically, you're saying that the people just invited to create anything they want, and what are they going to do? How they're going to file or to participate in the contest?
So if they check out the blog post, it will instruct with an email address where you can send everything to. They also have all the contest rules, and also have all the other information. I don't have all the information since I just artificially weigh in here. but if you check out the blog post, everything is there.
Okay, the blog post is of course on ubports.com, and while you're looking for the contest posting, you can also read our other articles maybe. So this is kind of nice attraction, dragging the people on the homepage to read our blog posts. No.
It's also in a news channel, by the way.
Yeah, perfect. So we hope we have a nice competition there, and we have a lot of participants. This is finally something where everyone can participate. It's not for developers only. It's nothing to do with that. You just let your creativity run free. And
or I guess this is where developers cannot, or anyone else except the developers, because developers have no creative skills. It's not me.
Okay, this will be interesting. This will be interesting. Yeah, who is going to participate here? Yeah, good. It will a little bit of celebration also for 1604 release, I would say.
Yeah.
To have something like this and to get everyone a little bit hyped or excited about it. And of course, besides that, you can use your own wallpaper already on the phone. It's absolutely cool if we would put this into the image and then it gets on everybody's phone. So really get some motivation that you have some permanent credit by being part of the standard images that we can ship, or the standard ringtones.
Or think about this. You walk around, we're at the McDonald's, and you heard your music that you made from one, or a ringtone.
Yeah.
Your ringtone that you made from someone for the Ubuntu Touch, and you know, I made that. He has an Ubuntu Touch phone.
Yes. This is something that will give you some shoulder padding. Maybe not tomorrow, but the adoption rate should be good one day, and then everybody has a Ubuntu Touch.
If you travel to Germany, there is where we have most Ubuntu Touch devices. So we have more likely chance if we go to a McDonald's in Germany.
Oh, Jan smiles and he knows everything about McDonald's in Germany. Okay, no sidestepping now. This is another topic.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So then I would say happy filing. And Wayne will take over and will probably with his team give us then some overview after this has been finished. And just because honestly, we have also to look up what are the let's say cornerstone or the timeline. Maybe it's already here. Submission. Actually, at the moment, it's I have to say we have to specify some start and end. Maybe I don't know. Good. So we don't have an end date. So just file as long as you can, and we go to the next topic.
Mm-hmm.
So we have something here on infrastructure. that's maybe also something that you want to take, because you're also part of the infrastructure team, Marius. Yeah, let's do.
So this is something we talked about quite a few or a month ago ish. It's about creating a more let's say a more structurally defined and a more replicatable or easily replicatable infrastructure, but at the same time creating a rock solid infrastructure. So this was the idea of using something called Docker Swarm, and also Kubernetes at some point. But right now it's the Docker Swarm we are looking at. When we are growing, we will start looking into Kubernetes and using those. But for now, Docker Swarm is more than enough for our needs. But since we're already using Docker at that point, Kubernetes will be as simple to set up. But the idea with this is that everything is defined by config files, or something called composer files or Docker compose files, which means everything is on GitHub, so you can easily just recreate the whole stack that we have. Of course, not the data, but everything else that runs on it within the matter of minutes. And the second thing is that it's automatically scaling. So if we have extreme traffic in some way, it will automatically spin up servers and have that service running on multiple servers at the same time. And while the traffic is going down, it will then scale down, so we can save both bandwidth and money and RAM and all that. So that's incredibly useful to have such solid infrastructure early on, because right now we don't have the need for it at this point because we have a pretty solid infrastructure. But this is not supposed to be a quick solution either. This is a long-term infrastructure plan. So that's why it's not nearly done yet, because it takes time and we don't rush it because we have other things to do. So this is just something we do, at least have a plan forward. And now we have most of our servers is actually running, at least most of the smaller servers are running on the Docker Swarm right now. But more of our critical pieces are not moved over to the Docker Swarm, mostly because they take some time to move over. So yeah. Can people hear my Ubuntu Touch phone?
Someone is constantly getting messages. Who can this be? Okay, so sorry for the pinging, but
I was so my brain was just focus. Don't listen to the sound all the time. I need to set my own silent because Dalton is loud.
Well, on the bright side, he's just showing that our push server is working very well, yeah, because he's pushing and pushing and pushing all the time. Yeah,
I guess that's positive. Speaking about push server, that's also something part of the infrastructure part. So you can see that actually is working somewhat. So, oh, my camera stuck. Oh, there we go.
No, you're still moving.
Okay. But yeah, but all in all, the idea is a long-term plan. It's not something we are rushing at all. But that's also why we are talking about it again, since it was a month since we talked about it last time. So don't worry, that's still ongoing process. And yeah, everything is on GitHub if you want to replicate it.
And speaking of notifications, I just sidestep a little bit. So we talked about metrics notifications already 2 weeks ago. It turns out that it took a little bit longer because the guys from UMetrics app needed to upgrade the core library for metrics. And this is on the way. Even maybe it's already finished. So we are still on track with that. And I'm in contact with those nice guys that are doing this, and we will test it soon. So if anyone needs metrics notifications, please still hold on a little bit. But now finally we are on the latest version of the library, and now we can start implementing the push notifications. So this will be very interesting. Okay, infrastructure and stuff. Even for the not so technical people, just to know we are getting more redundancy, better availability with all this, and we want to have it because we are a small team and we cannot just sit here and wait until the servers go down to restart them. We want really something that is rock solid for the future. Okay, that's perfect time to start switching to our questions, because it's also, let's say, half time of 1 hour Q&A. But in fact, we are already there. There's just one item for sponsors and Patreon. Maybe we want just to drop it here in the middle, that everybody is still fully aware. Yeah, of course, thanks to Patreon and sponsors, but what are the figures? Maybe somebody can tell me. Just want to point out what is the current amount of patrons.
The current amount is 1,900 euros per month. And I think, in fact, this month we went up by 170 because we introduced some new rewards, and people really seem to like that. So thank you to everybody who is supporting us on Patreon right now. That is really great.
Oh, and we're getting also the information here that we have 300 euros on LiberaPay. We should not forget about this.
Exactly. So LiberaPay is doing really well as well. So that is per week actually on LiberaPay.
Okay, thank you everyone for this continued support. We value this very much. And of course, also thanks for the sponsorship that is done by our, let's say, commercial or professional companies that are giving us free server hosting, free other stuff, and so on. Thanks very much. Yeah, I think we're doing great with that. We have still an increase. We are 1 year on the run, let's say, yeah? And still more and more people get attracted and want to help us a little bit getting this forward. That's great. Okay, then we have a lot of questions actually. So we start the question part. Oh, of course. No, before we start the question part, Dalton has just reminded me that we should also mention where you can support us in case you don't know, which is basically ubports.com/sponsors. And ubports.com/sponsors was not the right link. It was ubports.com/donate. Oh Jesus, I'm a little bit off. I'm not a good artificial Dalton today. So this is basically the problem of this artificial intelligence. It's never as good as the original one.
Well, you're not artificial Dalton when Dalton tell you what to say.
Okay, so ubports.com/donate. There you can go if you want to help us with some small donations. Of course, also big donations are welcome. Questions?
Or medium donations.
Medium donations. Well. How you want your UBports steak? Medium or well done? Okay. No. Questions, guys. We have a lot of questions. Okay. Michael Lollier. What is this? Michael Lollier wants to know. I'm very curious about the feature conversion from mobile to desktop. I just got my Fairphone and still need to get myself a connector to be able to see how it works. But besides the way it works now, I'm interested in where this unique feature fits regarding future rollout of UT. Will this be one of the key selling points? What's your opinion in this matter? You're talking about Convergence, right? Thanks in forward for getting back to this. Keep up the magnificent efforts. I like magnificent efforts. Thank you very much for this praising. Yeah. So Convergence, will this be one of the key selling points?
It is, of course, a very important feature for us. At the moment, the way it works at the moment, it is not where we want it to be. So it is not stable enough, and it is not polished enough. So we can say you can throw out your laptop, you just need your Ubuntu Touch phone, and it will do everything you need it to do. And you don't need a computer anymore. That we are not at that point yet. But it is definitely a very interesting future possibility for us. And what you can do at the moment with it already is pretty fun, and you can actually use it for production to a limited extent. But the potential is definitely there. It is amazing for us that we can share the base with Ubuntu, and we are basically compatible with all Ubuntu or all Linux applications that work on ARM-HF. So that is a lot. And as the team is getting bigger, as the software is getting more mature, it is getting more polished. And so yeah, in the future, Convergence will definitely be one of the key selling points of Ubuntu Touch. Right now, we are a little more on the tinkerer side, and it's really more about the apps that are specifically created for Ubuntu Touch. But I mean, we are not alone in this fight, right? You see Purism, for example, investing really hard in making GTK more convergent, more responsive. So GTK applications can adjust better to a smaller display. And of course, we hope that those efforts will also go to upstream, and then we can profit from that as well. So things are happening, I think. At the moment, especially since you mentioned the Fairphone, one problem is that the Fairphone does not have HDMI over USB. So that is one limitation on the hardware side there. But what you can do is use wireless display. So you need a wireless display adapter. But there might also some things we can do in the future to make that a little more solid. But I think we will be able to talk a lot more about Convergence after we have this this huge thing that is OTA 4 out.
Okay. I think that's pretty much about what we can say now. Mm-hmm. Then the next one is from Dallas.revo. Is also a username I cannot really pronounce pretty well, but I think it's like this. He would like to know a little bit more about the state of the Fairphone 2, as we are talking about this now, because at the moment there seem to be still problems with reboots, even with the updated firmware, and the new camera module is only partially working, rotated, and there is no flash. If there is a chance that this could be targeted already for 1604. And again, congratulations for us that he's appreciating all our work. Thank you very much. Yeah, so that's the question. What can we do? What can you say about the state of the Fairphone 2 at the moment?
So the state of the Fairphone 2 is a bit stuck, I would say. It's because one of the things that makes it so hard to work on that device is the kernel. The kernel is, to be frankly honest, it's not the best. The kernel has some random lockups, some random just crashing and null pointers and whatnot. This was solved a lot of these issues with newer firmware. Firmware. I can't say that word. I cannot even. So the point of that was to bring in those newer ones, and those made it more stable on the radio side. I used mine last week, and it was really good. So I didn't have much crashes myself, but I noticed, especially when you try to use it more expensively and try to, for example, watch a YouTube video or something, where you are pushing some memory into it and try to go over the memory. There seems to be something going on with the memory, some weirdness going on there. These are issues which are extremely hard for us to fix. There might be fixes upstream that we can pull, but the problem again is that they have moved to a next version of Android. So I'm not sure how much we can benefit of that. Maybe you can cherry pick from the kernel that is upstream or from Fairphone. But the matter of fact is that the kernel there, it basically comes down to the kernel. It's not really much we can do. We have been trying our best to make this work, and with the newer Xenial, and the newer Brobs, it is a lot better. It's not terrible now. it is a lot better. It's usable and you can use it every day, but it's still basically when memory fills up, it seems to have some trouble. So we will constantly work on this, but it's again, it's not our area. The kernel is not where we do any of our work. Of course, we do the porting work, but that's pretty much it. We use it from the vendor, how it is from the manufacturer, and that's how we take it. Because none of us are really kernel developers. But of course, we will try our best to make it as stable as we can. But first, we have to take care of senior issues that's more broad for each device.
And to talk about the camera module, yes, this is still on the list, even for the 1604. It's on the backlog, I think, or somewhere, or the other one. So this we have already on our list, and we are aware that the camera, front camera, is still rotated, and the flash issue. So yeah, as Mario said, there is still some work going into this, and we're trying to do our best what we can. Yeah. Sometimes it's not very clear what's happening on these devices when you're just random reboots, and it's hard to debug those. That's really the thing. Yeah.
When you say we are doing what we can, it will probably, or it is pretty likely that it won't be an OTA 4.
Yeah.
So the Fairphone is a device that is pretty important, I think, to many in the community because of the ethical aspects of it, and the environmental aspects and the upgradability and the openness and so on. And it is a device that is important for us, so it is definitely not going away. But while we have such an important task as moving to a new base, because we really could not delay this any further, fixes for only one device have to wait for that. That is unfortunate, but it is how it is.
But of course, also, if we're able to reach someone that is a real good kernel hacker that can help us with those things, that would be really awesome. Because currently we have also in other devices here and there something to do in the kernel base. So, and we're still, let's see, lacking someone that is really just dedicated his whole life to kernels. Maybe, I don't know, maybe some person exists like this, and he just wants to do a very good thing and wants to help us sorting out kernel issues. Yeah, please come and ping us. We will be glad to join you into the team as some really good contributor for Ubuntu Touch, because we actually would be much faster sometimes if we have someone that really has kernel in his left fingers, left hand fingers, small finger. What I'm saying here. Of course. So anybody who can help us with kernel issues on the Fairphone 2, please step up. We can really need this. Also with the camera module and with this flash, it's a little bit similar. Maybe this is something for an Android specialist, I don't know, but for sure, help is always appreciated. Okay, so then we can actually say there is another Fairphone question. Can I merge this? No, I think this was the only thing. Oh, and of course we got a new splash screen on the Fairphone. This is again on the bright side. The boot splash has been changed, so everybody who's changing now to the RC or Devil channel, I think it's not on the RC now.
It will be in the next RC.
Yeah, we'll have a new boot splash, which doesn't help the reboots, I'm sorry, but at least it looks very nice. Good, next question. From the YouTube chat, is this already finished? Yes. Yep. From Arc Linux Katze, which is Arc Linux Cat, actually. He wants to know why it makes sense to even develop Ubuntu Touch. Why do you think it will be a success in the future where here is Android? Oh, wait a second.
It's too bright. You can't
it's
see
too bright, yeah.
Well, yeah, I will take this one. So yeah, this was actually a really interesting question because many people actually wonder this: why make Ubuntu Touch when there is Android alternatives or even iOS alternatives or Windows alternatives. So this basically goes back to the Linux philosophy. We want to build something that's fully open and not depending on anyone. Like Android, for example, is depending on Google. iOS is depending on iOS, and at the same time, it's also closed sourced. But some might say there is Linux OS, but Linux OS is not. It's still depending on Google, and you will need to have. You probably need to have the Google services to have a good experience. Of course, you can live without them, but you won't have the same Android experience as they promise to deliver. But also at the same time, we want to build a real Linux operating system. We want to build a real option that you can use that is actually general GNU Linux. It's based on the GNU licensing, so everything is left. So you have to, so you can't close source the source code without needing to. You can't close source the source code at all, and you can't ship the binaries without needing to open source the source code somewhere. And that's also really important in my opinion, and I think that's also what many people see, is that with Android, for example, anyone can take it, close source it, and make it whatever they want, or put whatever they want into it, and no one knows. And it's still closed source at that point when you get from the manufacturer. That's what we want to avoid. We want to really build a truly open source that is based on the Linux philosophy, that goes around with having the option. As we do in the Linux world, we have many options of even your name states Arch Linux, which is one of the options that we have. The second is also Ubuntu. We have Fedora. We have all these options. Of course, we don't need those options. We have Windows and Mac. Why would we lean Linux? But that's not the point. If we have something, it does not mean we are done. That's not how it works. So the whole point is to create a truly open source operating system that's based on real GNU Linux. Anyone else want to add to that?
Just would add that it's super cool if you develop your own your own free operating system together with a lot of other people. It has a strong community factor. It brings together people from all over the world, and this is just more than just hacking together on some piece of code. It's kind of a philosophy that we say, okay, we are not satisfied with the options that we have. We don't want to buy any iOS login stuff or Android, I don't know, something that is infected by Chinese firmware vendor stuff, which is still maybe our problem that we have with unfree hardware. But we want to be part of a, let's say, grassroots movement that is really more than just downloading software, installing. We just want to contribute something.
Yeah.
So communities are also a very strong argument why it will be a success in the future.
Yeah, exactly what Florian's saying here is extremely important, is that there's no companies steering this. This is purely made by the community. And that itself is extremely valuable. Because there's no one controlling this. There's a community, which is basically everyone makes a change here. There's not a big company trying to make money, which is basically what Google does and Apple does. We are not here to make money. We are here to make a good software product. And in turn, I believe we also can get a better software product. Of course, it will be slower because we are a lot fewer people. But to be honest, what we have achieved so far with so few people, you could never do that with the paid people, because there are still free people do more work basically, and also better because they care. We care about the code. I don't just do this to get the money and then get out and get back home. This is actually to make something ours, or make something the communities. Yeah.
Okay, I hope that we could summarize it, because there is so much that we can talk about this. Maybe a whole hour of Q&A could go into just why we're doing this.
Yeah.
But I'm afraid we have to skip to another questions to be fair to the other people from the community. The next one is a little bit touching our showcase that we talked about before. Barnall wants to know if it can be made such that we can add ringtones and notifications easily. It would be good to assign certain ringtones to a particular contact. Then he said already, okay, you can set a custom ringtone, that's true, but actually you cannot set a custom notification tone. I think this has to change really soon. Yes, what about this? Custom ringtones per contact. I think this is something that we can envision somehow. Huh? On the other hand, of course, it needs a little bit of messing with the phone book and with the dialer, but yeah, put it on a feature request. I would say this is something that we happily put into our tracker, and then pick it up if time is here, and everything after OTA 4 can be possible, but not now.
Yeah.
No, of course, this is a kind of a feature request. If you like to see this, please go to GitHub, to our organization, put this either in the Ubuntu Touch tracker, or of course, more specifically, it could be into the dialer app or the messaging app. But if you're not sure in which repository to file, just put it on Ubuntu Touch tracker and we will take care. And this is a nice feature request. Of course, notification tones would be nice to be customizable. Also for myself, I would love to see this. Second part, yes, also someone from the community, actually Norbert Herter, has offered to host a metric server for UBports users. Would this be acceptable? And could something like UBports.chat be used? Well, I mean, we're not standing in the path of something that is growing here. I would say if somebody wants to host a metric server for UBports alone, yeah, why not? Yeah. Let's go.
Go for it.
There's no problem. Basically, UBports.chat or whatever you call it, we can link it also on our official pages. If it's up and working and available 24/7, then it will be good.
But definitely get in touch with the community team before
yes,
before you buy a domain or anything.
Yes. So no, please don't buy any domains for us and then say, okay, I bought ubports.matrix, for example. Could be, maybe this is okay. This is not a top level domain, ubports.matrix.cc or something like this. Because we cannot easily transfer domains back and forth. And even if we are the foundation, then it's better than we do this. You just suggest us, okay, you think this would be a cool domain name, then we can do this. Yeah. So before you invest any money, please talk with us. And there is a community team for this to handle, which you find on our homepage again, somewhere on the links. I'm talking myself into a lot of trouble today. I'm really not an expert in hosting such a show. I hope you can forgive me. A third question, also from Barnum still, is that the touchpad is not working when the hammerhead is in Slimport, connected with Slimport in Convergence. That should have been worked already, but now it's not.
It's I'm on it.
Okay, I'm on it.
Yeah. It also goes in hand in hand with the other bugs that scaling doesn't work on Xenia. Also, we'll fix it at the same time.
Okay, YouTube live chat. Matthew Taylor. Can I write apps using Qt Quick controls too? I have a few apps I want to write, but I really don't want to be locked onto the Ubuntu toolkit.
That is actually something new that we are supporting in OTA 4. So yes, you can now use Qt Quick controls too. And we also have theming. So you can have your app look the way that all the other Ubuntu Touch apps look. The style is called Zuru. The design language is called Zuru. So you can use that, and it is usable now. I think there's not that much documentation yet, but you can just start writing your app in a different style. You can, of course, also use material design or whatever, any QQC tool style will work.
Isn't that the beautiful thing that you don't need documentation on like theming? I think it just works with theming.
Yeah, but of course we need to put on the docs how the theme is called and so on, and that's not there yet because it doesn't work in Vivid. But Xenial only, starting with OTA 4, you will be able to use QQC2, and I don't think we mentioned this yet, or at least this week we didn't mention it. We will have, we are using in OTA 4, we are using Qt 5.9. So lots of improvement from that side as well.
Yeah, there is, to be honest, there is so much improvements. You will definitely notice it. Now we have a bug with scrolling, so it feels slower. But once that's fixed, you can really feel the power that it has.
Good. Talking about power, what is the state of the foundation process, Jan? There's a quick question from Vartoyas, maybe Spanish, Vartoyas. Guys, if you have unique usernames, please give us some spelling hints. That would be nice. Then we can pronounce.
We should only allow phonetic language on the forum. Yes. I'm sorry, I don't have a big update. There's progress being made constantly on it. So at the moment, I think we announced this a couple of months ago already, or 1 month ago maybe. We did file it with the government, so we are now in talks with the government, and before we were in talks with our lawyers and our attorneys about the statutes and all the other documents they need to set up a foundation. So yeah, progress is being made, and the rough timeline is at max 3 months, or it should be at least, to the foundation being operational. But of course, things can happen, but that is at least what is planned at the moment. So yeah, I don't have any interesting news on that front, because you probably don't want me talking about some small changes to the statutes here. Just one-liners that are really just legal issues. But yeah, things are going on, and as soon as there's something to tell, we will definitely tell.
Perfect. Tomokview. I'm totally failing on the usernames today. How can we get more senior apps in the open store? Only 5 new apps since mid-June. That's relatively slow progress. Developer interest seems limited despite more and more users shifting to RC and OTA 4. Maybe a hackathon could help. Well, yes, maybe it could help. What we can do about this is a good question, because we don't have contact with all the former app developers.
For most apps, it's really just an issue of running clickable again, just with a different parameter. So it is pretty simple to move them over. Some app developers are not that active, or probably don't have time at the moment to do it. I think someone the other day on Telegram had the idea to write a bot that goes through all the apps with compiled parts in the open store and looks at the manifest and gets the email addresses from that, and writes an email to the developers to please recompile your app. So that might be a fun thing if someone wants to do that, but please don't spam too much. So yeah, I think that will come pretty soon. It will get more. Maybe we need to be a little more proactive to reach out to our developers and say, hey, please recompile your apps.
But I think this also will come naturally as soon as we get closer, or actually when we release it. Because then it's out and it's easier to get a hold of, and also the app developers, most of them will actually use 1604 themselves. So I think this also will come naturally at some point. But of course, if we can contact them or something like that, or if anyone listens here and has an app. I know I'm guilty myself. I have an app that people want, so I shouldn't be the one talking, but I will do it. after this call, I will compile it.
Actually, I'm noticing now that I also have 2 apps that I didn't compile for 16.04.
Yeah.
But I did log viewer, so
Okay.
Okay, let's step ahead with good example. This weekend we will fix a lot of things, and everybody of the foundation will fix his apps, and then it's perfect. Why not? Okay, any news on the calendar and clock apps that keep crashing in Xenial? I think this is more or less fixed. No,
Yes.
it's not.
It is.
Oh,
it is. It
This
was
looks
fixed.
like no. Okay. Yes. It's
yes.
fixed.
Yes. It's the Norwegian way of saying yes. We don't do this. We do this.
Okay. Cool.
So this was fixed pretty much 3 hours before this call. It was a weird one because once I fixed one thing, another issue appears. So it was multiple issues. But also, I was working on the clock, and as a side product, it also fixed. As far as I know, it also fixed the calendar. I haven't checked myself, but I saw reporting people telling it did. Since they had pretty much the same issue, which was the PIM, Qt PIM, which is Qt Private Information Manager. Yeah. So this is fixed. You can now all wake up in the morning and get your schedule on.
Perfect. Thank you very much for immediate 3 hours fixing. Okay, next one, also about Xenial. A lot of questions today. Domo PKM. Oh boy, you're giving me a hard time. Domo PKM asks when we can expect on the Xenial porting of the essential indispensable app UAdblock. Actually, it's also yours, Marius, isn't it?
That's what I.
Yes.
The one I was referring to.
Okay, perfect.
Tonight I will do
it. So tonight we will update UAdblock for 16.04. Perfect. Some websites are crashing with the first web browser on Ubuntu Touch Xenial. This is not a question.
Oxide.
Does he mean browser next or not?
The first, I guess he means Oxide.
Okay. I would say after OTA 4, we can invest more into browser updating, and then let's see what we can do with it. I would not comment anything on the old browser anymore because we know it's crashing on websites. We know it has issues. We want to get rid of it, so it's already planned after next update. Yeah. And I think the first preview version doesn't look so bad. The people already started testing it, commenting it. Of course, it's not finished, not a finished browser. It has lots of issues, but it should give an experience how it could be, and I think that's pretty nailed it.
Yeah. So the good thing about the browser next is that it's a click package, so it can be updated independently from the system image. So even if we get OTA 4 out and both browsers, both the old and the new one, are still have issues. We can then go ahead and work on the click package and ship updates to that independently from the system image. So that shouldn't be that big of a problem.
Okay, cool. Then again, Tomo QV, we could have merged with him before. Will there be an effort to bring a native email client as a core app to Ubuntu Touch? All mobile OSs I'm aware of have shipped with an email client as a default. And being such a vital app on a smartphone, maybe a core app would make UT a more viable alternative for people interested to switch from iOS or Android. Pooh, that's a tough question.
It's a good question also.
Yes.
Echo was a core app on the official images, and we want to get back to that. But at this point, as we said earlier on, is that the first version of Doco doesn't work on Xenial yet, and Deco 2 is still under development. Even though Deco 2 is workable, it's still not there. We really want to have a solid email client here, and Doco 2 is getting there. It's actually a really nice how it is right now, and I would love to see that in Xenial. But But the developer Dan Chapman that is working on it also has time concern, which is why it takes time. It also takes time to develop apps like this.
He's also helping a lot with other Qt projects around Ubuntu Touch, so we need to cut him some slack for that.
He's a core developer. He has done a lot of work on Xenial too. So don't go yell at Don. He has done amazing work. But I see that people need a email client. But we'll try our best to see what we can do, and hopefully we can get Deco 2 at least in the current state, so at least there is an option. But a default, this might come later. I can't promise anything, but of course it would be really nice to have it a default. But at least have it as a download option when we release OTA 4 would be nice. But I think also there comes back to what me and Jan has problems with releasing on Xenial too. So it might not be because the app doesn't work. It might just need a recompiling.
Okay. Next question, Gizmo Chicken. Have you tested Unity 8 on 1804 with Mir 0.32? Impressions?
Ooh.
If familiar with the situation, would you please discuss what necessitated the recompile and install Qtmir locally step that LG recommends in a recent post related to installing Unity 8 on 1804? I think this is a really tough question now. Who had time to test Unity 8 on 1804?
Nobody right now.
I did. And it's awesome. I recompiled and used Mir and fixed the things that was there for me and Papashunu had tried it out. He requested me, so I did it real quick for him, and it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Every app now works on Wayland. They all run on Wayland. There's no more Mir on Mir action. There's all Wayland on Mir. So all apps now actually runs in Wayland, including our own apps run with Wayland. All the GNOME applications work with Wayland. Every KDE application works with Wayland. So the only thing that we are missing now for a pretty solid operating system or desktop environment is the correct word, is X11 support, and that's also coming. I just need to finish Xenial, then I can start working on that again. I know I have a PR up on Mir that has support for this, but at this point it works, but it's still a bit flaky, so it needs a little bit more work, or a lot more work, before it's something that can be merged into Mir. But once it merged into Mir, Unity 8 can take good effort and good use of it, and it will actually be a pretty solid desktop environment. But you can try that now, and it works with any. You don't need to use LightDM anymore. You can use any login manager, and it's awesome. It's beautiful.
So where's the instructions for that?
Right now, it's still only recommended for people knowing what they do, because it's still flaky. It's still a bit flaky. But if you go to our GitHub page, and there is a tool called Unity 8 Desktop Install Tools, or tool, which automatically installs it for you and setups everything. You can use that, and it will download it for you, and you can just log in, log back out, and you will get an option to log in with Unity 8. It will say on Wayland, but it doesn't. But that's because of the display manager using login D, which is called.
That's very nice. And I don't want to talk about the art packages now, but Dalton gave me this hint that there is also efforts that everything for Unity 8 is going to be ported to Arch.
Yes.
What about that?
This is our awesome community guy, Ivan. You're probably seeing him around.
Hello, Ivan.
Hello, Ivan. He has done I have to praise this guy. He has done such an amazing job porting so much over to Arch, and everyone praise Ivan because it's an intense amount of effort to do that, because there's so many packages that needs to be compiled, and also make sure they are compiling. It's not only to package them, but you have to fix the issues that comes along.
It's also a different Qt version. It's Qt 5.11, I think, already in Arch.
Yeah, well, Arch has pretty much everything latest, so it's it runs on it's amazing. I currently don't know the state of it. Last time I saw, I think he got Qt Mirror and Unity 8 and all those compiled, and I think he has Mirror working and everything. But I don't know the latest status. I know he was going to vacation, but it will be amazing to see this with this working. So it's just amazing. This guy, he's amazing. Ivan, I love you.
Perfect. That's a good sentence for the end of the show, nearly, because we have no questions on my list. So I'm just asking you guys, is there anything that we should take? We should still take into account? Nothing, it seems. Okay.
Yep.
Then that was an amazing Q&A 31 on this nice Saturday, and we will be back in 2 weeks, of course. Then it's already summertime, so we still hope that a lot of you people are listening at this time. Not so many are on holidays. We will be here in 2 weeks again. And yes, the last question of this show, and it's important to have always a good last question, as we found out last time. The last question comes up here right now in the live chat. Is the question, why is Mario's internet so good today? This is really a good question. Huh?
I guess it's the sun. No, actually, it's an interesting story. So let me do it quick. So I'm having something called Air Fiber that you might know, and I'm also kind of the guy that runs it, because the company that actually owns it is far away, so they asked me to take care of it, and there was a lot of issues.
So that's why it's broken so often.
No, this is not this is recently, not before. And after I took over, I fixed a lot of stuff. That's it. But all in all is it's because I live in the middle of nowhere, basically, that we have this solution. But good news is that in about a half a year or a year, I might get fiber, proper internet. But this works. It's fast, but it's dropping out sometimes.
The future's now.
The future's now.
Oh, and Mario's, after fixing the Fairphone, now he fixed the internet. I think this is a good last statement that we are doing here. So thanks everyone for watching the Q&A. See you in 2 weeks again. Prepare your questions as usual into our forum when it's time to. Thanks for watching. Anything else I forgot?
Nope.
Thanks for Dalton giving hints behind the stage, even if he's not able to show on live. And of course, that was, let's say, amazing.
It was.
Any other last words from your side, guys?
Smash the like button and have a nice weekend.
Oh, God.
Have a nice weekend, everyone. Bye-bye.
Have a nice weekend.